friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. And this is just one great way that you can support this YouTube channel. Make sure to click on thumbs up, like, and subscribe right now. As you're listening, hit the bell for notifications. And welcome to our continuing series on twin flames and the twin flame connection. I never, ever, ever, ever in a billion years thought that this series would go on as long as it has. And thank you to all of you that are on the twin flame journey who have been commenting and sending me emails and emailing me for readings. It makes this community so amazing. And this journey that is technically pretty lonely and that not many people understand. And a lot of people think you're crazy. And a lot of people they don't understand the spiritual aspects of relationship. They look at it from a very practical aspect. And this model, this twin flame model, does not fit into practical. It's very spiritual, it's very ethereal, it's very connected. There's a lot of things that happen in the spiritual realm for the two people that are two sides of the twin flame, divine masculine, divine feminine, that nobody else can possibly even fathom or understand. And I was just talking with a reader who so kindly and gratefully did a reading for me. Even though I'm a reader, you can read for yourself, and usually everything is so spot on and so accurate and amazingly accurate. And actually getting a reading from this person reconfirmed the accuracy of the messages that I receive for myself in my situation. And I mean, to the T, actually, it was kind of cool. But also a reader is able to point out things that you can't see yourself because you're inside of the situation and you're not outside of the situation. So it's really sometimes difficult to see certain aspects of the truth, especially certain aspects of the truth within yourself. So if you guys are interested in getting a reading, I do 45-minute and 90-minute readings. 45 minutes is sometimes a little bit short, but if you just want some quick answers and an overall reading, my specialty actually is romance. And I've said that before, that I used to work for Psychic Source, like the psychic hotline type thing. And they pinpoint what your actual specialty is. And my specialty always was romance readings. So there you go. And we are touching on a very, how should I say, touchy subject. And this subject was actually requested several times by a lot of different viewers. And it has been on my list to do, and I guess my angels and guides gave the green light and said it's actually okay to talk about this topic now because it's a little bit sensitive. So it's about, what if I am married already and my twin flame is not the person I'm married to? Or what if my twin flame is married and to somebody else, not me, and that's my twin flame? So it could be for the divine masculine, it could be for the divine feminine, it doesn't really matter. Or maybe both of you are married to other people. So I am personally not married, not anymore. And my twin flame is not married either. And so this is not my personal journey. This is not my personal situation. However, I was married to the wrong person, or to a person with whom I did not have, I think, any spiritual connection. There was a zero spiritual connection there. And being a very spiritual person, that can be really frustrating. And I married this person for the wrong reasons. There are always lessons you have to learn in every single relationship as a result of that particular relationship. I have beautiful, wonderful, and amazing children, and I would never trade them in for the entire world. So I'm eternally grateful for that and for that experience. However, if we're to whittle it down to the actual relationship itself, I was not in a marriage I wanted to be in. It was a marriage that I chose to be in for all the wrong reasons. So I will give a little bit of my perspective based on being in a relationship, in a committed relationship. And in this case, in this video, we're speaking primarily about a marital relationship where you have made a vow to the other person, where you do have a legal contract with the other person. And so it lends itself to a whole host of other issues and problems if you are in love with somebody else, right? Now, again, that was never my case. I got out of the marriage way before I ever met my twin flame, and I was in 2 subsequent relationships after that, after the end of the marriage. So that was never, ever, ever my situation. However, the questions that you're faced with yourself are all the same. Those are all the same questions, because you have to remember that when you're in a relationship, when you're in a marital relationship, and the reasons to stay or the reasons to go have to be totally personal, meaning that it has to rely on you and your wants, needs, and desires, and how much the relationship is a fit for you in your life. So it has nothing to do with the other person, and it has nothing to do with an external person. So it has nothing to do with a twin flame connection, or even just like an extramarital affair person. Like, it doesn't have to do anything with that. So that's one thing I want you guys to absolutely keep in mind if this is your situation. If your situation is you're married to somebody else, your twin flame is another person, and you're wondering, should I leave my marriage to be with my twin flame? If that is the only reason, my answer would be no, because that is not the reason to leave a marriage, right? It's just, it has to be based on your own internal growth, your own internal needs, wants, and desires. So, and like, if the other person isn't acting in integrity in their own marriage, meaning that if they're married to another person and they meet you, the twin flame, and they have all of these twin flame-like feelings, which are the feelings of, intensity, falling in love. But in my other videos, I do talk about all the symptomology surrounded by the twin flame connection and the activation of the heart chakras, the activation of the soul, the recognition. And so if your twin flame is in a marriage, but they recognize this with you, and they're acting out of integrity, meaning that they're trying to see you, they're trying to sleep with you, they're trying to date you, they're trying to be with you, and they're still staying in that other relationship, it's that they're not ready to be in union with you or reunion with you. We're kind of switching up vocabulary a little bit, because some viewers are getting confused, because twin flames are always in union in the 5D. Their souls are always connected and always together, and there's nothing you can do to separate the twin flame souls. But we're talking about like physical reunion after that initial union, meaning when you first contact or meet or come into physical 3D existence with your twin flame. So that's what we're talking about. But so I think that's super important, you guys. Like, you don't want to be with a person who can't live in integrity. You don't want to be a person who can't live in honor. You can't be with a person who is acting out of selfishness, I guess, where they're so selfish that they don't want to leave another relationship, but they want to be in a relationship with you as well. That's just not the way we're designed to act. That is not the loving way. That's not the unconditionally loving way. And you might argue, well, it is unconditionally loving, because if this person unconditionally loves their wife or their husband, and they recognize something in me where we have this connection, like, can't this person just love both people? And I am a personal believer that when you are in a relationship, you make a decision. And a decision literally means to cut off all other options. And when you are living fully, and when we are living the most authentically and from your most highest self, that when you make a decision to be committed to a person, into a relationship, that you are giving it your all, and you're fully committed and fully aware and just fully into that. Because very easily, if you are not making a decision and being committed, then it's too easy to multitask relationships for selfish reasons. And usually it is for selfish reasons. It's usually because you feel that maybe this person doesn't give me enough of certain things that I need, but they fulfill other needs, and this person gives me other things that I need, but not that the first person can give me. So do you see how it can quickly become a self-serving and very selfish type of relationship? So my personal moral code, and I really, as I said, like I'm always listening to heaven's guidance. I'm always listening to my angels, and I'm always listening to my higher self's holy essence. And that is the core message of this, is that if you are in a marriage, then, and you have a twin flame that's outside of the marriage, then you need to find the reasons why you're in that relationship right now. So why are you in the marital relationship? Is it because you feel financially bound to that relationship? Is it because you have children with that person that you're married to? Is it because you've been with them, so longevity, you've been with them for years and years and years and years, and you can't imagine your life without them? Is it because you feel guilty for leaving that person? You feel like that person wouldn't be happy if you were gone? Do you feel obligated to that person? So is it religious beliefs? So you have to pinpoint the reasons, because if your twin flame appears in your sphere at this particular moment in time, it is usually a good indicating factor. If we're talking about if this is romantic in nature, right? So I deal with romance and romantic connections because most of my messages come through. And those of you that are attracted to my channel and viewing my channel and resonate with my videos are going to be or are already in twin flame romantic connections. Okay, I'm not talking about unique friendships or, you know, just like brother and sister twin flame connections, which there can be twin flame connections that are just strong connections to another person that you're not romantically involved in, but that's not what I am channeling. So that's not the collective that I am speaking to, and that's not the collective that I'm necessarily channeling. I'm speaking purely of a romantic connection on every level. So we're talking about spiritual, emotional, ethereal, physical, sexual, intimate, everything. So that is what I am talking about. So if you are in a marital relationship and then this twin flame comes into your sphere of existence, it's that there is something in that marital relationship that you are not committed to, or that is not a right fit for you. And if you're watching and you feel this, you know that to be true. You absolutely know that to be true. So I will give a little bit of my marital story and the whys of why I got married and the feelings of the feelings in the marriage, and also the reasons why I ended the marriage, because I think it's important for you guys to gain some perspective as to the reasons why we have a tendency to stay in relationships that are no longer serving us. Now, that is not to say that your marital relationship is not serving you. That is not to say that you shouldn't stay in your marital relationship. This is not intended to be marital advice. It's not intended to be, that's my little disclaimer. It's not intended to be, you must leave your marriage. Absolutely not. Like, I wholeheartedly believe in marriage. That's actually one of the reasons I stayed in my marriage as long as I did. I don't believe in divorce. I don't think that's the path to go or the way to go. However, it happens. You know, you can't prevent the eventuality of things that may happen because of a dogma, because of a belief, because beliefs can change. And also, the stages in which we tend to enter into relationships sometimes just maybe a very premature and immature stage. And so that the reasons for getting married might be totally different than the reasons you would get married today. So I know that that's the case for me. Like, when I entered into a marriage, I was very young. I was extremely young. And I found the person that I ended up getting married to, and it was all based on material stuff. It wasn't based on anything like love. It wasn't based on connection. It was based on, like, he had told me at one point, I will make more money than any man you ever know. And for me at that time, it was very appealing. It was very appealing because I grew up in poverty. It was very appealing because I knew I wanted kids. It was very appealing because I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and like raise my kids and not put them in daycare. So for all of those reasons, like that reason was actually appealing to me at that time. And again, I said I was very young. The next thing was I actually got pregnant while we were dating, and I wanted to have the baby. I don't believe in abortion for myself. Like I grew up Catholic. So I married the person that I got pregnant with, and I married him for financial reasons. And so those reasons were valid, I guess, at the time of getting married. But as I developed and grew as a person, it actually became the golden handcuffs, if you will, because I didn't develop in my career enough to actually be financially independent. And I was very lonely in my marriage because we had no other connection. Like we were friends, but like it pretty much stayed there. Like we were not connected at all. We had different interests, different beliefs, different ideals, different ideology. Like everything was 100% different and not meshing at all. And it really came to the point where I was with another couple and I was making a joke about, it was a young married couple and they were newlyweds, and I was making a joke about how as you go on in marriage, like you're not going to want to sleep in the same bed as your husband, and you're not going to want to like be next to them, and you're not going to want to like have them near you while you're sleeping. And she just looked at me like I was totally insane. And she was just like, what? No, like that wouldn't be me. Like I wouldn't want that. And for me, I thought that was part of marriage. I thought that if you were married to someone long enough, you just didn't like them. Like you didn't want to sleep next to them, and you didn't want to be with them, and you didn't want to have sex with them. Like that's what I thought a normal marriage was. I did not have any good role models growing up. So I thought that. And then when she told me that, I was like, oh my God, that was my epiphany right there. I was like, whoa, okay, something's not normal here. Like this is not what it's supposed to be. And then I started thinking back into a soulmate connection I had in my older teens, I guess. And this was a man who taught me a lot about life and he was older than me by 8.5 years. And he taught me a lot about life, and a lot of what I do today and like spirituality and yoga and meditation are really attributed to a lot of the lessons that he taught me while we were together. And so as I was having all of these epiphanies and all these realizations, I thought of him, and I thought of like, wow, this person and I, like in my teens, like we really had a super strong connection, and he taught me so much, and I felt so spiritually connected to him. And ultimately, he was not the right person for me. He had a whole host of problems himself, but I'm talking about the connection that's beyond the physical, and I'm talking about the connection that is something real versus something that's just out of convenience. So based on all of the knowledge that was coming through, I made the decision to leave my marriage, and it was the hardest decision I ever had to make. Because I did not believe in divorce. I came from divorced parents. They were miserable. I was miserable growing up. It was just not a good scenario. It was an okay situation, but I did not see my parents happy at all, even in divorce. And so that really impacted how I felt that relationships should be. And I had my children with this person, and I didn't want to devastate their lives, but I knew I had to live authentically and live in my highest truth. And frankly, not liking the person that you're with day after day is a really destructive force. It's a destructive force for them, and it's a destructive force for you. So I wanted to have that soul connection. I wanted to meet somebody with whom I had a deeper connection and deeper ideology that we shared together. And then the third thing was I didn't have a job. I had been, teaching school, but I was a stay-at-home parent most of my life. And I didn't have money. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a career. Like it was super hard to leave in the sense that there was a ton of unknowns. There were so many unknowns. And I just took this big leap of faith, and I had to. And so that goes back to like you guys and your story, in that No one can tell you what's right and what's wrong. No one can tell you you must stay in this marriage or you must exit the marriage. But you need to think for yourself as far as, is this marriage serving my highest purpose and my highest good? Is this marriage helping me to evolve as a person and making me a better person for it? Like, am I more loving, kind, and compassionate? Am I more giving? Am I serving others? Do I love this person? Do I want to be with this person? Do I crave this person each and every day? Because that's really important too, you guys. I mean, there were ups and downs in marriage, but the overall arching feeling inside should be, I crave this person every day. Like, even if there are times that you don't like them, because that's going to happen in marriage. There's going to be times where you just don't care for that person. They made you angry in the morning. You made them angry. You know what I mean? It's just like normal day-to-day stuff. But the overall arching feeling is that when you look into their eyes, you're like, I don't want to be without you. Like, I adore you. And so when you're looking at that, when you're looking at your marriage, don't look at it through the eyes of a twin flame connection. Do not look at it through the eyes of like, I have this twin flame, which is so appealing and so strong and so wonderful and amazing and great. And then I have this person that I'm married to. And so I need to leave this person for this person, because if you do that, you are putting all the baggage from one person to the other person, and your twin flame connection is probably not going to be what you need it to be. And also you will cause a greater separation between you and your twin flame until you work out all of the baggage that you brought from that marriage into the twin flame relationship. So usually you're going to push away that person and they're not going to be in union with you until years and years and years, or something happens that you've worked out all of the baggage that you need to work out from the actual marriage, which typically is a karmic or soulmate relationship in which you have some stuff that you guys really need to work through. And so if you feel that you've reached the point at which this relationship, is done and I need to move forward and move on, do it with full cognizance that this is what I want. This is what I need for my soul development and for my soul purpose, whether or not I'm with my twin flame. That is the point that you need to come to. And I would say, when and if you do it with integrity, meaning that you don't do it while you're sleeping with anybody else. You don't do it while you're texting anybody else. You don't do it while you're in a relationship with anybody else. Like, you leave that particular marriage before you get engaged in anything else. Like, do things right, you guys. Karma is karma is karma. And like, if you are acting in a karmically poor way that goes against the laws of the universe, then that bad karma is going to come back to you in some way, shape, or form. It's always going to come back to you. And that's a karmic debt that needs to be repaid. So that make sure that when you are acting, you're always acting on the up and up, that you are taking responsibility for your words, for your actions, and for your deeds. And so that when you're creating this good karma, that is the karma that's going to come back to you. The next question that's rising up for some of you, I know, some of you are like, I'm not married. Stop talking about that. It's my twin flame that's married. Well, the same rules apply for your twin flame. So if your twin flame is currently in a marital relationship and you are in contact with your twin flame, then perhaps you need to have the conversation with your twin flame to say, I understand you're married. I get that. I understand also that you feel like you have a connection with me. However, in order for me to stay in my integrity, I need to back away while you're still married. So I can live in my highest power and integrity, and so that you can make that decision on your own that doesn't involve me. And it takes a lot. I know, you guys, it takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of self-respect. It takes a lot of honor. It takes a lot of courage to do that, because I'm in a twin flame connection. I know how strong it is. I know how incredibly intoxicating it is, right? When you get near that person, you feel so intoxicated because there's just this amazing connection that's right there. And so it's easy to get drunk on the connection, right? To get so intoxicated with that vibe that you feel with this twin flame person. But just know that you need to live in your integrity too. And so it has nothing to do, again, with what your twin flame decides as to whether or not they're going to leave their marriage. That has nothing to do with it. It's about staying in your own self-respect. It's about staying in your own personal power. It's about honoring yourself and your morals, your integrity, and just saying, like, I get it. We have this amazing connection. And if you decide that this marriage is not for you, and that you decide ultimately to take steps to get out of that marriage, then, come and find me. But until then, like, I'm going to live my life, you live your life. And this was great. So it's going to take a lot, but remember the law of karma. Just remember, like, if nothing else, like if you're having a really tough time and going, but it's not fair, the universe is not fair, like, why did they make me meet this person? This seems like torture, it's awful, it's cruel, it's whatever. Just know that, like, you guys both chose this, and I always go back to that. I always, always, always go back to that. Look at all of my videos. I always go back to that. Before you and your twin flame incarnated in this human form, you guys both chose this. You chose all of your stories together. You chose all of your trials and tribulations together. You chose all of your obstacles. And in that, you have the solutions to overcome all of those obstacles. But the law of karma does come into play here, guys. So stay karmically correct in what you're doing. Only you can gauge your own actions, your feelings, your thoughts, your words, your deeds. Like, whatever karma whatever karma you are putting out there will come back to you in like kind. That is the law of karma. So make sure you stay in your power. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for staying with me throughout this journey. I'm so excited. Next Wednesday, I'll keep announcing this, and I will make another announcement, and I'll probably send a message to you guys. Next Wednesday in the afternoon, I think it will be around 5 p.m. Pacific time, so 8 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. I'm going to do my first YouTube live video with super chat, so you guys can ask questions and I will answer the questions. It'll be a live Q&A. If you have questions for the live Q&A prior to that, in order to start the chat, I will go ahead and pick 3 questions at random that seem like good questions, and I will start the video by answering those questions. So next Wednesday, which I believe, I'm trying to think, is the 26th of June. And thereafter, I'm going to do the YouTube live every 2 weeks, not every week. It's overwhelming and it's just too much. Like I said, I still have a full-time job, so I have to do these videos and now the live Q&A, and I want to start a podcast. I know you guys have known about that. I'm waiting actually to get a little bit more subscribers on Patreon. It'll be a closed podcast for patrons of Patreon only. So if you pledge to my channel, if you pledge $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, you will get that monthly podcast as well, where you can email in questions. And for that particular podcast, I will uniquely address questions for the whole time. And it'll be, like I said, a closed podcast. So just patrons will be able to access it. I might have little bonus materials as well. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Share this video with other twin flames. And thank you for buying a book or pledging your support on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.